Well, it's 4:30. I'm going to get started. I'm excited. So, for any of you guys who don't know who I am, I know we're friends on Facebook probably, but some of the people who are on my Facebook, they personally, let me see, I'll remove this. They personally might not necessarily know me. They probably though have seen a lot of my posts. And so today the idea was I want to be able to, let's see, I took Jim off. I want to be able for people to know who I am and see exactly what I'm doing. See, here's the thing. There's a lot of people right now who are making claims that they're working with people they're not. They're pretending they invented the question mark, acting like they've built Dan Henry's funnels, acting like they've built Liz Benny's funnels. And you see all these people popping up trying to teach a course. And how do you know who you can trust? Well, you got to know somebody's background story and you got to be able to check it out, make sure it's real. And you can tell a lot by going on someone's Facebook page, Googling their name, digging up a little bit. You can see if someone's legit or not, if they're telling the truth. And so today is kind of like a Ross tells all about his story. And so I'm going to share my screen here. I threw up a few slides because I wanted you guys to have a visual. If you can actually see pictures I found of, if you can actually see pictures of what somebody's gone through, it actually means a lot more than them just telling you. So what in the world? All my slides just all of a sudden transition to me. Okay. Here we go. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you guys exactly my journey that I had to being able to succeed. So hopefully you guys can see this. I'm going to go full screen here so that way you guys can see exactly what I did. If you're asking a question, I won't be able to see it until the end. So please hold any questions till the end. So I want to start off talking about, just myself, how I got started as an entrepreneur, and some of the things and challenges that I've come across. Because when you see somebody who's only talking about their success and they're not talking about the flops that they've had and the things that have gone wrong for them, it's really hard to believe them because nobody just gets it right the first time. Maybe some very few people do, but most people don't. So when I was 19, in West Bend, Wisconsin, I ended up opening up this little guitar shop you can see here. It's literally like the size of a hallway. The place, I think, only cost me like $400 a month. And I was actually doing pretty darn good for a guy my age. I was very happy because we had, over 100 students and all of them very active and all of them coming out of just 2 lesson rooms. Like we were really busy. And I was an idiot. I didn't keep any good records or anything like that. So when 2.5 years passed and I was just done owning a guitar shop, I just sold it. I was just done, or not sold it, closed it. I couldn't sell it. I had nothing to sell. I had nothing to show because, unless I had tax records, but all my tax records, you claim as much as you can so that way it doesn't look like you made as much. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of real records to show. Everything was handwritten, and I pretty much spent a lot of the money on things like dumb stuff, snowmobiles and whatnot. I was young. So what happened next, though, was I met this lady here, this beautiful girl, Jenny, and she was a little bit older than me. She's about 5 or 6 years older than me. And so I kind of felt this need, like I needed to really quick step up and be a good provider. But the problem is when you're an entrepreneur and you get used to just the taste of working for yourself, it becomes very, very difficult to work for someone else. Even if they're a good boss, it's just hard because you sit there feeling like, if I sit here for an hour, I'm only going to make $15 or I'm only going to make $20. And at that point, like when you start feeling that way, it's almost impossible to go back to work. And you might feel that way too. Like maybe you're in a 9 to 5 right now, or you do still have to work on the side because you're trying to grow your business. And when you're at work, you just cannot wait to get back and start working on your business because you want that to be your full-time gig. So we ended up getting married, and I had to step up to the plate. I worked for a year doing marketing and admin work for an orthodontist, but then I fell into this really weird niche, fixing phones. And I thought that this was going to be the thing that sent me into retirement, because I was fixing like 50 phones a week plus out of home, charging like $80 to $100 a pop and making about $60 each. And that was going really, really well for me. And so what I ended up doing is I opened up a store, a brick and mortar store in West Bend, Wisconsin, which actually still exists today. I just don't own it anymore. And it was also going really well. And I ended up getting a second store. I guess I got a little greedy. And I opened up in a market that I wasn't familiar with. It's a really big area, saturated, and it just plundered me. It literally sucked up between employee expenses and parts and rent and everything going up, sucked up all of my reserves and almost sent me down the drain. So what I ended up doing was closing the store. I fired everyone and I started from the bottom. So I'm in more debt now than I'd ever been in before, because when you're in business for yourself, debt can accrue really quickly. So I let almost everyone go. I worked my butt off for like pretty much a whole summer by myself. I dug myself out of that hole, and there was still a little bit of debt on it. And I sold my business in January for pretty much just about what it was going to take to pay off the debts of the business. And so now I'm sitting here thinking to myself, where do I go? Like, what do I do? I know I have very few limited skills. So I ended up taking a few things that I'm good at. I was good at web design, decent at it, social media, and sales. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking all of those things and I tied them together, and I started this company here, Social Mean Street Marketing. So I started this Facebook ads agency, and I actually came across an ad that got me into the idea of doing this from Dan Henry. I got his ad, and like, here's this guy with these funny Yoda ears, and he's telling me that I'm going to be able to make money by running Facebook ads. And at first I thought, gosh, this guy's probably just another liar, and I didn't pay attention to it. But then he just kept retargeting me with all these ads, and I thought, boy, this guy's really good. So I sat through his webinar. I got like 30 minutes into it, and my phone died. Well, I went back to listen to the webinar again, and he doesn't have a spot where you can skip ahead. So I ended up having to listen to the entire thing again. And after I listened to the whole thing, I realized that he was different from some of these guys. So I had been kind of doing research on this, and there's these guys out there like this, and I call them false gurus. I truly believe they're making money. So I'm not saying that they're lying and they're not making money. But the way that they position themselves is so much different than what he had done. So they make it seem like this is going to be like their life, your life very soon. Ferraris in your house with bookshelves, and like they really make it seem like this is just going to be that easy. Where I think that I think that Dan might have said something like, if you're not willing to work, like this isn't your course, like don't take it if you're not willing to put in the work. So I ended up taking his course, and it went really, really well for me. He didn't mislead people the way that some of these other people do, but this is the thing. I was always really good at sales, really decent at sales, because my father's in sales. I've always been in sales with him. We've always talked about it, the psychology of sales. But at this point, I needed a product to sell. And that's what he gave me, was a product to sell. So after being in his course, within the first month, I did just over $10,000 in sales. It's already in the 10K club, but I stayed pretty quiet about it because I wanted to be in the 20K club, which I didn't know he had. He didn't have it. I thought he might have something for that. So second month, I ended up hitting a really high number of sales, 20K. And then once I added a physical product, it ended up going significantly higher than that, over 60,000 if you add in the physical product. And so it was kind of an eye-opening moment, like, wow, this works. But see, here's the thing. I have a spinal cord disease that I was diagnosed with some months back. And I'm not going to be able to keep going out and pounding the pavement the way that I once did. So what I decided to do was say, okay, I don't want, Dan Henry does a good job being Dan Henry. I don't want to be another guru or he doesn't even claim to be a guru, but I don't want to be another guy who just put out a course on Facebook ads. What am I good at? And Russell Brunson, in his Expert Secrets, he talked about what's your voice? Find your voice. Find waters that are not bloody, blood-infested waters. I'm good at sales, and I'm good at selling marketing. I mean, it was very, very easy for me. I'm very good at the cold calls, and I have scripts that I've used forever, and the psychology of when you're meeting with them and going into it with focus. And I came up with a great business model. And so this is what I did. I made a course of action. Because here's the thing, you can read about bait, but until you throw it in the water, you won't catch anything. So you can go and take all these people's courses, Tai Lopez, what is it? I don't know. There's so many people doing courses right now. You can take their courses, but the people who started buying my course recently, they're all people who have taken those courses. And they're looking for something new that's actually going to work. And the thing that I keep hearing is people say that your course is a course that makes you take action. So it's very easy to implement it. And I want to show you just an example of my course. I'm going to actually log in to the back end of my course. Let's see here. Okay. So this here is my course. And it's pretty neat. It kind of just takes you in the beginning through some of these basics. And if you're new to it, it gives you some concepts. I build some funnels. I show you a few things. But here's the real thing. Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, we do live classes, and you're welcome to be in on these. And these classes are like an hour long. And we go through and basically I say, okay, now today I teach them about something. I teach the students a specific skill, something that they need to use, put it to action, and then I say, now do this for the next 2 days. And they basically do it. We interact. I talk with them. We do coaching calls. If I do put, and I'm working on this right now, making studio versions of all of these. It's kind of like an evergreen course. By the time the 8 weeks is done, there's going to be over 50 hours, if not way more, of videos and information for people to watch. We go through all of our stuff. We talk about fear aversion. We have our coaching calls. There's so much stuff constantly being added to this thing that, it's just unreal how much benefit there is. Now, I know that, let me see, I think one of my students, if not more, are on here. I'm going to end up bringing one of my students, Jim, on real quick. I'm going to put him on the spot. I'm going to promote him to a panelist, and I want you guys to hear from him. Let's see here. Jim?
Hey, Ross.
Let me get my headphones on. You there, Jim?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man. Hey, so I wanted to just ask you a few questions about the course, just so that way for anyone listening in, they know that it's not just some guy making up, this action and telling them what they want to hear. But I just wanted to see if you'd give me a little bit of a lowdown on, so far, it's only been about a week and a half, but how you're feeling about the course and the action that it's requiring you to take, and maybe some of the benefits you've already started to see from it in your personal business.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason I'm on this live call right now is because I found that every time I listen to Ross speak, I learn something. So I could be doing 10 other things right now, and I got a lot to do, but I always try to take the time and get on and listen to his live calls, and I'm also in his course. But inside a little over a week, I've lined up through his action steps. He gives us tasks to do, and we follow his instructions. I have basically 4 trials going on right now. Just got another one today with a chiropractor, and I have some people that once the week-long trials are done, they're going to be coming on board as clients. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that's just the beginning. Ross's course is $2,500 residual income in 8 weeks. I'll probably surpass that inside 2 weeks, and then just grow it from there.
Now, let me ask you a question. When it comes to comparing it to any other course that you've taken before, could you kind of just tell me how you feel? And this is great feedback for me because, like I said, it's an evergreen course. So as I hear people saying, hey, I like this, I add it to it. So, what maybe you feel like the biggest difference is?
Well, I think you just said it just a little bit ago, and it's true, is you can take other courses and they'll teach you like how to run Facebook ads and the detailed technical stuff, and that's all good. But until you know, like you said, put the bait in the water, you're not going to get any clients. So, and I found myself in that rut, always learning, always taking courses, which is great. But until you really get out and learn how to sell, which is what Ross teaches, step by step, action steps. That's the big differentiator between what you're doing and what other courses teach.
Thanks for the feedback. Now, just one last question, and hopefully you don't mind if I ask this because I don't want it to be embarrassing or anything. How many client trials did you have started before you started the course?
I had one here and there, but I wasn't consistent with it. And now inside a week and a half, I have 4 lined up, and I have a couple more appointments set for more case studies and trials, which I'm not going to keep doing free trials forever, but I'm doing it to get the video testimonials and then letting the testimonials sell, my services to my clients.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. I'm going to end up muting out the mic here.
Yep. All right.
So here's the thing is I pretty much take people through a step-by-step plan, and I'm going to show you what that plan looks like. And in the plan, it basically gets you to the 10K a month, but I only put 2,500K on my program because I want an attainable number. I don't want people to be like, oh, he's that guy promising me I'm going to make this many figures a year. I want it to be attainable. So let me show you what this looks like. And in my course, I go into this in way more detail, but this is pretty, and so it might be hard for you to even fully understand how this campaign works. But this is what a 10K model campaign looks like. Now, just to give you a little bit of an idea, these client trials are basically in the beginning. So for the first seven clients, which is what these here represent, you're basically doing client trials. You get a testimony from each one of these client trials. Once you have enough of these set in place, you now have enough videos to create these 2 funnels. These 2 funnels are client acquisition funnels that work really well once you have testimonies. Now, we get traffic to these through free traffic as well as we have our live ads. So we have the Nail Your Competition funnel and a testimony funnel. Then we have a retargeted ad. This retargeted ad, anything that you see an RT next to, means that when they click into it, they get this retargeted ad. Now, when they click into either one of these pages, they get sent, and if they opt in to letting us send them an email, for the next few days, they're going to receive a testimonial video in an email sequence every single day until they get to a last call. So this is a very actually comprehensive campaign. And if you want, you can take a screenshot of it right now, because this is what I said I'd give you. This is the promise I made. I said I was going to give you away my 10K model free. So go ahead and take a screenshot of it. This is what I use. And if you would like to actually learn how to implement it, because it's one thing to look at it, but if you want to actually learn how to implement it, then what I would suggest is click through on my link after the webinar and take the course. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat box just so you guys can all see here the link. You can also find it on my client acquisition mastery group, my link to my course. And basically you can catch up by taking the replay videos, and then you can get in on all the live videos. So like right now, today's video is loading up, and on Friday we'll have it, and then any coaching calls that are in between it, those videos end up getting added in too. So if you would like to take action and stop reading about things and stop reading about the bait, but actually throwing it in the water, if you'd like to follow the steps of somebody who has literally been to the bottom, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to be a provider, and find out the way that I dug myself back, who is not claiming to have you in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari within the next 6 months. If you get there, that's great, but I'm not going to say that that's what you're going to have. I'm not going to mislead you, because you know, Jim would be the first guy to tell you, and if you want, you can actually message him. He'd probably be okay to tell you that it takes a lot of work. He's calling people nonstop, but I'd love to get you to be a part of my program and working with you guys daily. So up until that, or until next Wednesday, you guys have a great one. Next Wednesday, I'm going to be doing some more client acquisition tips. So you guys have a great evening.